everyone, good afternoon, and welcome back to Thorough Newspaper Analysis. Today is 12th of July, and this entire video series it's brought to you by LawSikho. So now let's head to the agenda for today. The first segment for our discussion is the editorial segment, and here we talk about this article which is titled as Greenwashing. See, this article essentially pertains to the amendment, the 2023 amendment that have been proposed in the Parent Act of 1980, which is the Forest Conservation Act. We're going to understand as to why this piece of legislation it is contentious, what are the proposed amendments, and what is the entire matter that is going to be the scope of our discussion. Secondly, we talk about important news updates. And thirdly, we have a look at legal developments of the day. So with this, let's dive into the TNA and we start off the discussion with this article. Let's see the why of it first. See, the Forest Conservation Amendment Bill of 2023 that is currently being deliberated upon by the Joint Committee. This legislation, this brings to the forefront the very age-old, very complex issue, which is how do we balance the conflicting interest of, at the one hand, having a lot of industrial development, infrastructural development for the purpose of driving our economy, and on the other hand, the very important, the equally important need of conservation of forest, of conservation of natural resources, the environment, which is in fact the need of the hour given the massive havoc that climate change has sort of inflicted on all of us. So see, while industrialization, this inevitably means usurping greater tracts of forest land and ecosystems, the Forest Conservation Act of 1980, it has been the mantelpiece legislation that has empowered the states to regulate this entire sort of practice and also to impose costs on whenever there is industrial exploitation. So this is how the Forest Act of 1980, this was trying to, sort of strike a balance. So it was empowering the states to regulate activities pertaining to forest and also by imposing costs and fines on those industrial establishments and entities which were flouting these norms and causing a lot of exploitation of the environment and the forest. Now, see, originally, if we have a look at this particular legislation, it was to cover those forests which are declared notified to be forests, officially which were recorded as forest. So those forests were covered here. However, in 1996, there was this decision of the Supreme Court, which is called the T.N. Godavarman case, wherein the Supreme Court issued a set of directives and this particular case, among other things, it also expanded the scope, the applicability of the 1980 Act. So what it did was it said that apart from the officially classified areas which were classified as forests, this act is also going to apply to other areas as well, which may not be officially declared or classified to be forest land. And the purpose why the Supreme Court held so was that it wanted to give effect to the objective of this legislation, which is the preservation of forest, the conservation of forest, and also giving impetus to the practice of afforestation. Now, see, let's understand, let's have a very quick look at some of the figures to see as to what is the percentage of our territory which is under forest cover and how bad is the situation. See, if we were to believe government records and government claims, it claims that we have 24% of our area under forest and tree cover. But the Forest Survey of India, it illustrates a slight different picture because it says that our growth when it comes to the area under, the natural forest coverage, it is stagnant and at max we can say that the growth, it's been incremental. In fact, Northeast, which is, known to be quite rich in the forest coverage, it is also seeing a trend of depleting forest coverage area. So now the government says that 24% is under the cover. The author of this article says that this 24% claim it is sort of substantiated slightly by other coverage which has the characteristic of forest like but which is not forest. For instance, plantation, orchards, and we also have community homesteads, community plantation. So these are forest-like characteristics which may look like, this is forest, but this is not natural forest. So this is sort of substantiating the government's claim, but we are having a stagnant growth. So this highlights the fact that there is a need that, we put forth efforts in conservation of forests. Now let's come to the current legislation. So the existing laws, as per the Environment Ministry, it was insufficient for incentivizing or encouraging people to indulge in agroforestry and tree plantation, and therefore we felt the need of bringing this legislation, this amendment. Now we need to understand that there have been amendment in this legislation earlier as well, but this particular amendment, it is criticized by different people who can be considered as stakeholders in this situation. Now let's understand as to what are the some of the amendments that this act proposes to bring. So see, this act, it provides, let's consider the applicability first. So the amendment bill, it says that only land which is recorded as forest in any government record on or after 1980, it would invoke the provisions of the act. So therefore the Supreme Court's judgments, its ambit, it has been limited here. Secondly, it says that forest land which is authorized by states for non-forestry uses between 1980 and 1996, which is the period after this legislation came into effect and before the Supreme Court verdict came into, they would not invoke provisions of the 1980 Act. So what does this amendment do in essence? The amendment, it effectively means that the state can no longer classify unclassified forest land or patches of trees with forest-like characteristics as forest land. So this is one thing that needed our attention. The amendments, they also allow forest land up to, let's say, 100 kilometers near India's border areas or sensitive areas to be appropriated without central government approval for strategic and security purposes. So why was this done? See, this was done because the government said that there are critical infrastructural development that needs to be done around these border areas and the sensitive areas so that we strengthen our security and strategic purposes. So therefore the prior we need before this amendment proposal, we needed, the state government needed the approval of the central government, but now the approval, the need of it is being this is being done away with. So also the primary criticism of this amendment is that they do not really contribute to regenerative natural forest, but rather they incentivize afforestation for commercial ends. So what is worrying as per the author is that the parliamentary committee, despite its statutory privileges, it was not expressing any opinion or suggestions on the way forward, and the author ends by saying that grooming private forests, it might look good in theory, but expecting them to be a permanent carbon stock, it is wishful thinking given that strong market incentives exist to use them as carbon credits. And with this, we proceed to the next update for today. So this has brought us to the national category for today, with this being the first update. For Indian origin business leaders, they're featured on the 2023 Forbes 100 Richest Self-Made Women list. Now, as many as four Indian origin women, namely Jayashri Ullal, Indira Nooyi, Neha Narkhade, and Neeraja Shetty, they've all featured on the coveted list of America's 100 richest self-made women. Building supply distributor Diane Hendricks, with a net worth of $15 billion, she remained at the top of the charts for the sixth year consecutively. So this year's list, it had 8 entrants, including television producer Shonda Rhimes and Insistro CEO Daphne Kohler. India overtakes China as the most attractive emerging market for investing, according to 85 sovereign wealth funds and 57 central banks, representing $21 trillion in assets. India is increasingly being viewed positively for its improved business and political stability, favorable demographics, regulatory initiatives, and a friendly environment for sovereign investors. This has been reported as per a report by global investment management firm, which is called Invesco. Lakshya Sen, he clinches men's single title of Canada Open Badminton. Indian shuttler Lakshya Sen, he clinched men's single title of the Canada Open 2023 badminton tournament, defeating Li Shifen, his Chinese counterpart in Canada. The 21-year-old from Almora, who had clinched his maiden Super 500 title at the 2022 India Open, he mixed incredible speed and power this year to overshine his rival, who is also the reigning All England champion. This was Sain's first title since claiming his maiden gold medal at the Commonwealth Games in August last year, and he is also the second singles player from the country to win a title this year. Priyansh wins compound men's under 21 individual title. India's Priyansh has become under 21 world champion in compound archery as the country's medal tally it swelled to 9 medals including 5 golds. Priyansh defeated his Slovenian counterpart in a one-sided men's under 21 individual final in the ongoing World Archery Youth Championships. Earlier, Aditi had prevailed over her US counterpart to bag the women's under 18 title, and she had also won an individual silver at the Asian Cup leg last year. Parachuter Rudransh, he creates world record at World Cup. India parachuters Rudransh Khandelwal and Nihal Singh, they've both won the gold and silver respectively at the P4 mixed 50-meter pistol SH1 category at the World Shooting Parasport World Cup. The 16-year-old Rudransh, she created world record in the event, shooting a score of 231.1 in the final, while Nihal shot 222.2 to finish second. Third World Hindu Conference, it is to be organized in Bangkok for 3 days. The World Hindu Foundation, it has announced that the Third World Hindu Congress, it will be held in Bangkok in November of this year. This 3-day event, which is also known as the Vishwa Hindu Sammelan, it will take place at the Convention Center in Bangalore. The theme of this event, it translates to Dharma, the Abode of Victory. This conference focuses on exploring opportunities and addressing challenges that are faced by the global Hindu community. Let's understand some of the facts pertaining to World Hindu Congress just in case they feature in the exam. So founded in the year 2010, it was founded by Swami Vigyanand. And this brings us to the next update. India, Malaysia, they amend MOU for defense cooperation. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, he inaugurated the regional office of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in Kuala Lumpur to facilitate close defense industrial collaboration between India and Malaysia. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, it is a defense PSU which is akin to GLC in Malaysia, and Malaysia, it is home to the second largest members of the persons of Indian origin, and it also has a significant presence of the NRI community. Gujarat CM, he launches pilot project of Antyodaya Shramik Suraksha Yojana in the state. Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel and Union Minister of State for Communication, they've launched a scheme for the welfare of the laborers named Antyodaya Shramik Suraksha Scheme, which is launched on a pilot basis. This particular scheme, it is an accident insurance scheme which will provide the financial assistance to the laborers and their families in case of any accident happens to them at the workplace. By virtue of the implementation of the scheme, Gujarat has become the first state in India to launch such sort of a state scheme for the welfare of the laborers of the state. And with this, we've come to the international segment for today. Uzbekistan leader or president re-elected for 7-year term in snap election. Mirziyoyev, who has led the Central Asia's most populous nation since 2016, called a snap election after changing the constitution through a referendum which reset his term count and extended the same from 5-year to 7-year term. The 65-year-old president, he has opened up the country to 35 million people or to foreign trade and investment, while also easing restrictions on religious and political freedoms, although there still are no strong opposition groups or politicians in Uzbekistan. So, here I have 3 4 questions, and I would request all of you to please put down the same in the comment section. First question being, which article of the Indian Constitution provides for the tenure of the Indian President? And second being, which article of the Indian Constitution it also provides the fact that if the President, although the term is, let's say, XYZ years, but owing to certain eventualities which are listed out in the article, the President's term can be cut short, it can be extended. So, what are those eventualities, and it is provided for in which article? Now with this, let's proceed to the next update. Serentica, it inks pact with Greenco Group to source 1500 megawatt of green energy a day. India-based energy company Serentica Renewables, it has signed an agreement with Greenco Group to source 1500 megawatt hour of clean energy storage capacity for industrial customers. The clean energy platform, it is backed by private equity fund, which is KKR and Company, and it will source the capacity from Greenco's pumped storage project in India. Under the partnership, Serentica will use the pumped storage capacity from Greenco's planned off-stream closed-loop projects in both Andhra Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. The World Population Day, it is commemorated annually on 11th of July to raise awareness and educate individuals about the challenges and the consequences which are associated with global population growth. According to the United Nations, theme of this year's World Population Day is unleashing the power of gender equality, uplifting the voices of women and girls to unlock our world's infinite possibility. As far as the history of this day is concerned, the UN Development Programme's Governing Council established it in 1989 after taking inspiration by the Day of 5 Billion, which was observed in 1987 on 11th of July. The first World Population Day was observed on 11th July in 1990. And this has brought us to the last segment, where first we talk about the Supreme Court's decision. Supreme Court says it's permission not needed for high courts to transfer presiding officers of special MP-MLA courts. So the Supreme Court on Tuesday clarified that its permission it is not required for high courts to transfer presiding officers of special courts dealing with cases pertaining to MPs and MLAs. The same was done by a bench comprising Justice the CJI D.Y. Chandrachud and Justice P.S. Narasimha and Justice Manoj Mishra to ensure that administrative work of the high courts they do not suffer or it does not suffer. The name of this particular matter is Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay versus Union of India and another. Next update comes from Kerala High Court. Section 294 CRPC intended to expedite trails, avoid delay caused by recording irrelevant evidence. The Kerala High Court has recently observed that the object of Section 294 of the CRPC it was to expedite trials and to avoid unnecessary delay by recording irrelevant evidence. So the aforementioned section it also provides that no formal proof it is required for certain documents which are filed before any court. The name of this particular matter is Smriti George versus the state of Kerala and others. With this, we've come to an end of the TNA. In case you want to get access to the free study material and the TNA slides that have been used in this video, please feel free to join our Telegram channel. For the same, you may scan the barcode here or click on the link which is provided in the description. These are the point of contacts for you to get in touch with LawSikho. The quiz link is also made available for your kind consideration in the description. Thank you for being with us.